Most people think the apocalypse looks like a battlefield, but history tells a quieter, deadlier story. In 2005, during the Hurricane Rita evacuation, over 100 Americans died not from the storm, but trapped on the highway in gridlock. Heat stroke, dehydration, and violence claimed them while they sat in air-conditioned cars waiting for traffic to move. Your vehicle is either your greatest asset or a steel and glass coffin. When the grid goes down, that quarter tank of gas and a standard spare tire won't save you. Real survival isn't about firepower. It's about mastering biology and physics inside a 50-square-foot box. Today, I'm showing you the 12 specific items that turn a stalled car from a death trap into a mobile fortress. Forget the movies. This is what actually keeps you breathing when the world stops moving. 1. The 55-gallon contractor bag. You might be expecting me to start with a weapon, but I'm starting with the item that separates the survivors from the casualties in the first 72 hours. Hygiene. Dysentery and infection have historically killed more people in siege scenarios than combat. When you are gridlocked on the interstate, surrounded by thousands of desperate strangers, you cannot simply walk into the woods to relieve yourself without risking your safety or abandoning your vehicle. Enter the 3 mm thick contractor bag. These aren't your standard kitchen liners that tear if you look at them wrong. They are heavy-duty, puncture-resistant survival multi-tools. First, sanitation. If you are trapped in your car, these bags line a bucket or even your floor mats to create an emergency toilet. It sounds unpleasant, but containing biological waste is the only way to prevent turning your safe haven into a deadly disease vector. Second, tactical concealment. In a crisis, you want to be a gray man, unremarkable and invisible. Tape these thick black bags over your windows from the inside. Not only do they provide thermal insulation against the cold, but they also create a total blackout curtain. If looters can't see inside your vehicle, they are statistically less likely to attempt a break-in. They are your poncho, your ground cloth, your sanitation system, and your privacy shield. In a world where infrastructure fails, the simple ability to control your immediate biology and environment is the ultimate power. 2. Unscented baby wipes. You might chuckle at this. It sounds soft. It sounds domestic. But ask any combat veteran who has spent weeks in the field, and they will tell you that these are worth their weight in gold. In a survival scenario, water is liquid life. You drink it. You do not waste it on washing your face. But here is the brutal reality. Hygiene is not about comfort. It is about mobility. When you are trapped in a stagnant vehicle for 48 hours, sweating from stress and heat, your skin becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. Sweat accumulation in high-friction areas leads to severe chafing. It sounds minor until you realize that a raw, infected saddle sore can physically incapacitate you just as effectively as a twisted ankle. If you cannot walk because of severe skin irritation, you cannot bug out. You are stuck. Furthermore, there is a psychological component that Hollywood ignores. The feeling of grime and filth degrades your mental state faster than hunger. A simple field shower with 2 or 3 wipes resets your nervous system. It restores a sense of humanity and control. Get the unscented kind. You don't want to smell like lavender when you're trying to hide. And scented products can actually attract insects or wildlife to your location. Keep a bulk pack in the trunk. It's the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy for your own morale and physical integrity. 3. 100% wool blanket. Forget the shiny silver space blankets you see in cheap survival kits. Those are flimsy, single-use wrappers that tear if you sneeze. Worse, they are a tactical liability. In a grid-down scenario where the world has gone quiet, the crinkling sound of a mylar blanket at 2 a.m. cuts through the silence like a gunshot, announcing your location to every scavenger within 100 yards. You need the silent reliability of a surplus military wool blanket. Your vehicle offers zero insulation. Once the engine dies, that metal box reaches the ambient outside temperature in minutes. Here is the science that saves your life. Wool is the only natural fiber that can absorb up to 30% of its weight in water and still trap body heat. If your window shatters and rain gets in, or if you are sweating from a fever, a down sleeping bag collapses and becomes useless. Wool keeps working even when soaking wet. There is another danger Hollywood ignores: fire. In a riot or a crash, synthetic fleece or polyester melts instantly, fusing to your skin like napalm. Wool is naturally flame-resistant and self-extinguishing. It acts as a shield against heat just as well as cold. Generations of soldiers from the trenches of World War I to the mountains of Afghanistan didn't sleep under polyester. They slept under wool. It's heavy, it's scratchy, and it smells like a sheep. But it is a durable, silent, fireproof insulator that will outlast any high-tech gear in your trunk. 4. SOS emergency food rations. Stop packing beef jerky, chocolate, or military MREs in your trunk. It is a rookie mistake that could cost you your life. In the American South, the interior of a parked car can hit 170 degrees Fahrenheit, parentheses 77 degrees Celsius, in under an hour. That kind of heat turns chocolate into sludge and chemically degrades the nutrients in standard canned goods within months. But the real killer isn't the heat. It is your own biology. Digestion is a water-intensive process. Here is the physiological trap most preppers fall into. High-protein foods like beef jerky actually accelerate death by dehydration because the body must pull water from its own vital organs to process the protein. If you are rationing water on a gridlocked highway, eating a salty snack is dangerous. You need food that provides maximum energy with minimum metabolic water cost. You need U.S. Coast Guard-approved SOS rations, like Mainstay or Daytrex. These white, brick-like blocks were originally engineered for sailors drifting in life rafts on the open ocean with zero access to fresh water. They are non-thirst-provoking, low-protein, and dense with fat and sugar. Tasting somewhat like a lemon shortbread cookie, they are not gourmet, they are fuel. A single block packs 3,600 calories, enough to keep a grown man functioning for 3 days. More importantly, they are chemically stabilized to withstand temperature fluctuations from minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit to 149 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 years. When the vending machines are empty and the supermarkets are looted, this brick of calories is the difference between making rational, life-saving decisions and collapsing from metabolic exhaustion. 5. Water and the Sawyer Mini Water weighs 8.34 pounds per gallon. Do the math. You cannot physically carry enough water in your trunk to survive a long-term collapse. And in a heat wave, your vehicle is essentially a dehydrator. Amateurs hoard cases of bottled water. Professionals carry the ability to produce it. When the power grid fails, municipal water pumps stop. Here is the terrifying physics of urban infrastructure. Without positive pressure pushing water out, groundwater, sewage, and industrial runoff can be sucked backward into the clean supply lines through cracks in the pipes, turning the remaining tap water into a biological weapon. You cannot trust the faucet. Even if water is still flowing, you need the Sawyer Mini. It weighs only 2 ounces, fits in the palm of your hand, and filters down to 0.1 microns, removing 99% of bacteria and protozoa like salmonella and cholera. But the real value is its longevity. This tiny tube is rated for 100,000 gallons, enough to provide clean water for one person for over 100 years. With this filter, you stop worrying about carrying water and start scavenging it. You can drink from a stagnant puddle, a decorative fountain, or a toilet tank. And here is the resource everyone forgets. The average suburban hot water heater tank contains 40 to 80 gallons of potable water that remains accessible via the bottom drain valve long after the city taps run dry. With a Sawyer Mini, the entire ruins of the city become your personal reservoir. 6. Portable lithium jump starter. Throw your old jumper cables in the trash. They assume 2 things you will not have in a crisis: a friendly neighbor and a safe environment. In a massive gridlock event, you will be starting and stopping your engine constantly to inch forward or run the heater. This cycle destroys starter batteries when you turn the key and hear that dreaded clicking sound. Getting out of your car to flag down another driver isn't just inconvenient, it is a tactical suicide. By raising your hood and waving for help, you are signaling to every predator in sight that you are immobile, vulnerable, and desperate. You need a portable lithium jump starter. We are not talking about those heavy lead-acid briefcase-sized packs from the 1990s that lost their charge in a month. Battery chemistry has evolved. Modern lithium polymer units are now so energy-dense that a device weighing less than 2 pounds can deliver 2,000 peak amps, enough to jumpstart a massive 6.0L diesel truck engine 20 times on a single charge. These units can sit in your glove box for over a year and lose almost zero power. Furthermore, they serve as a backup power plant for your USB devices when the car is dead and the city is dark. Being able to self-rescue in 30 seconds without ever speaking to a stranger is the definition of autonomy. Do not rely on the goodwill of others when everyone is fighting for their own survival. 7. The shaker siphon hose gas stations operate on just-in-time delivery logic in a regional panic. Like the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy in 2012, pumps run dry in hours, not days. When the gridlocks start, the abandoned vehicles lining the highway aren't just obstacles, they are the only remaining fuel reserves. But here is where Hollywood gets you killed. Do not ever try to siphon gas by sucking on a garden hose with your mouth. Why? Because of hydrocarbon chemical pneumonitis. if you accidentally aspirate even a thimbleful of gasoline into your lungs. The solvents dissolve the delicate lipid membranes of your alveoli, causing you to effectively drown in your own blood and fluids. In a world without hospitals/ventilators, a mouthful of gas isn't a mistake. It is a slow, agonizing death sentence. You need a shaker siphon, or jiggle siphon. This anti-static hose features a brass check valve at the tip. You simply insert it into a tank and shake it up and down. Physics does the rest. No mouth contact, no poison. It flows at a staggering 3.5 gallons per minute faster than many commercial pumps. This means you can drain a stranded sedan's tank and fill your own jerry can in under 5 minutes while remaining low profile. With this $10 tool, the world's biggest traffic jam transforms into your personal. Unlimited supply chain. While others are begging for a miracle, you are quietly refueling from the resources they left behind. 8. Heavy-duty tire plug kit. Your spare tire is a logistical lie. In a normal world, getting a flat is an inconvenience. In a gridlock evacuation, it is a tactical nightmare. When the highway turns into a parking lot, the only drivable surface left is the shoulder, the breakdown lane. But after a disaster, that shoulder becomes a graveyard of debris, shattered glass, nails from construction trucks, and twisted metal. You will run over something sharp. Here is the problem nobody anticipates. A standard tire change physically requires a minimum of 4 feet of lateral clearance to operate a jack and remove a wheel. Look around. In a bumper-to-bumper panic, you don't have 4 feet, you have inches. If you try to change a tire, you are trapped. Even if you have the space, crouching by your wheel well for 20 minutes makes you a stationary target. You need a tire plug kit. This isn't a temporary patch. It uses strips of sticky, fibrous rubber that vulcanize with the tire heat to seal the puncture permanently. With a pair of pliers to pull the nail and a T-handle insertion tool, you can seal a puncture and reinflate the tire in under 3 minutes without ever taking the wheel off the car. This keeps your vehicle mobile and limits your exposure time outside the cabin. When the roads are covered in shrapnel, the ability to fix a flat in the time it takes to pump gas is the difference between driving out of the danger zone and abandoning your car to the mob. 9. Tactical LED headlamp. If you are still relying on the flashlight on your smartphone, you are already a casualty. Phone batteries are precious communication lifelines, not torches. And if you are holding a traditional flashlight, you are effectively one-handed in a two-handed world. Try changing a tire or applying a tourniquet while holding a metal tube under your chin in the pouring rain. It's impossible. You need a dedicated LED headlamp. But raw brightness is not the metric that matters. Stealth is. You must select a model with a dedicated red light mode. Here is the biology of survival that most people ignore. The human eye requires up to 45 minutes to fully adapt to true darkness through the regeneration of a retinal protein called rhodopsin. A single split-second blast of bright white light instantly destroys this chemical adaptation, leaving you night blind and unable to see threats in the shadows for nearly an hour. Tactically, red light is superior because it preserves your natural night vision. More importantly, it has a low visual signature. Red light wavelengths are shorter and scatter less in the atmosphere, meaning you can illuminate the map in your lap without creating a long-distance beacon that signals your position to looters a quarter mile down the highway. Finally, power it with lithium batteries, never alkaline. Standard alkaline batteries are notorious for leaking corrosive acid when left in the temperature extremes of a car trunk, destroying your gear from the inside out. When the streetlights go out, he who controls the light controls the environment, but only if he keeps his hands free to work, fight, or drive. 10. Pepper gel. Not spray firearms get all the glory in American survival culture, but they come with a permanent legal and psychological price tag. In a road rage incident or a looting attempt, you need a bridge option between shouting and shooting. But here is the critical mistake most drivers make. They carry standard pepper spray. If you discharge an aerosol spray inside or near a vehicle, the laws of fluid dynamics turn against you. The mist hits the dashboard, bounces back, or gets sucked into your car's air recirculation vents. Suddenly, you are choking on your own defensive weapon, effectively blinding yourself while the attacker remains standing. You need pepper gel, unlike spray, which atomizes into a cloud. Gel fires a heavy, sticky stream that is virtually immune to wind blowback or cross breezes. It travels 20% further up to 18 feet and hits with the consistency of glue, requiring the attacker to physically scrape it off, which only grinds the capsaicin deeper into their pores. Here is the specific tactical advantage for the gridlocked driver. Gel allows you to neutralize a threat through a 1-inch crack in your window without ever rolling it down enough for an attacker to insert a hand or a weapon. It induces mechanical blindness, forcing the eyelids shut involuntarily. This isn't just pain compliance. It is physical incapacitation that buys you the 30 seconds you need to maneuver your vehicle and escape, leaving the threat screaming on the asphalt. 11. The Paper Road Atlas. We suffer from digital amnesia. We trust the blue dot on our screens more than our own eyes. But here is the hard truth. The GPS network depends on ground control stations and cell towers to overlay map data onto your phone. When the power grid fails, those towers have about 4 hours of battery backup. Once they die, your smartphone is just a glass brick. Suddenly, you are standing in the middle of your own country, completely lost. You need a laminated Rand McNally Road Atlas or a detailed DeLorme Gazetteer. Why? Because GPS algorithms are programmed for efficiency, not survival. Google Maps will route you onto the interstate because it is theoretically faster, driving you straight into the kill box of a 50-mile traffic jam. A paper atlas reveals the veins of the nation that digital maps ignore: railroad lines, high-tension power line cuts, and logging roads. These are the secret highways. When the pavement becomes a parking lot, these linear man-made features offer flat, clear paths for off-road travel or hiking that no algorithm will ever suggest. Furthermore, a map gives you the big-picture topography, water sources, and elevation, allowing you to plan a route around the chaos rather than through it. In 1940, the U.S. government distributed millions of maps to citizens, knowing that a population that knows the terrain is unconquerable. Today, we have outsourced that knowledge to a server. In a collapse, the man with the map is the only one who knows where the exit is. Everyone else is just waiting to be rescued. 12. Broken-in hiking boots. We have reached the final and hardest stage of the gridlock scenario, the exit. This is where psychology kills more people than physics. It is called the sunk cost fallacy, the refusal to abandon your vehicle because you paid $40,000 for it, even when it has become a stationary metal coffin. But when the fuel is gone and the mob is closing in, you must walk. Look at your feet right now. Are you wearing dress shoes? High heels flip-flops in a disaster. The ground is no longer pavement. It is an obstacle course of shattered safety glass, twisted guardrails, and toxic fluids. Here is a haunting detail from American history during the evacuation of Lower Manhattan on 9/11. Thousands of people were forced to kick off their dress shoes and high heels to run, walking miles barefoot through jagged debris and pulverized concrete. The resulting foot lacerations incapacitated victims who had otherwise escaped the towers unharmed. You need a pair of broken-in hiking boots in your trunk. Do not buy new ones. New boots cause blisters. A single quarter-sized blister can reduce a grown man's walking pace by 60% in under 4 hours, turning you from a survivor into a straggler. Pair them with thick wool socks to prevent friction. When you lace up these boots, you are accepting the new reality. You are admitting that the machine has failed, and the rest of the journey depends entirely on your own 2 legs. The car was just a tool. It is time to leave it behind. This gear isn't just inventory. It is your life insurance policy. But remember, the most important tool in your car is the one between your ears. You can buy the wool and the water filter, but you cannot buy the will to survive. That must be forged today, not when the panic starts. Consider this: in 2014, a mere 2 inches of snow in Atlanta paralyzed the entire city, leading drivers to abandon over 2,000 vehicles on the interstate in just 6 hours. The veneer of civilization is thinner than your windshield. When the system breaks, it breaks fast. Don't just watch this video and nod. Go to your trunk, clear out the junk, pack the essentials. Be the asset your family needs, not the liability waiting for rescue, if you are ready to take responsibility for your own survival. Hit subscribe and share this with someone you want to see on the other side. Stay safe and keep your head on a swivel.